Welcome to the Squadcast podcast. Today we are talking about the Schoology Implementation Course. We're going to discuss kind of why Schoology. We're going to discuss how to get registered for the course, what can teachers expect once they get inside of the course, and then also hear from some of the teachers and students and some of the feedback we've got for students and teachers who are already implementing Schoology into their course. So I am Jimmy Cates, and today I'm joined by
Phil Sheridan.
And Priscilla Calcutt.
Thanks for being here. Really appreciate, kind of going through Schoology. And I think the first question and always the most important thing anytime you're implementing something is why are we implementing Schoology next year? So
yeah, and I think that there's when something comes out brand new, it is why. Where's this coming from, and why do we have to do this? Well, we all know that through the pandemic and everything, everyone really jumped right into virtual learning and other things. So the state kind of stood back and took a look statewide at all the different districts and the things that they had available and resources to help support virtual learning and support learning in general. And what they found is really that there was a lack of learning management systems across the state. And so they wanted to provide for all districts and, make it equitable. So they've provided funding for the learning management system. So that's really where Schoology came from.
And then from like a teacher perspective, what kind of benefits would they might see, versus what we already are currently using, I guess?
Well, I mean, most widely used is Google Classroom, or in the really younger levels, Seesaw. But if we focus on more the 3 through 12 group, Google Classroom is the most widely used.
Right.
And Google Classroom's great. It's easy to use, but it's really more of a content management system. It's good to kind of push content to your students, but it doesn't really address a lot of the managing the learning standpoint, working with third-party tools and collecting data and helping teachers to see where their students are in the learning progression. And that's what this system can do, because it's a systems approach to learning.
So you're just going to be able to add more things to what we already can do with Google Classroom and give us, give teachers a little more capabilities and some integration things.
Kind of like that one-stop shop,
Right.
And instead of, hopefully in the long run and not so long run, but teachers will see that it's taking some things off of their plate,
Right.
where they don't have to use a whole bunch of different tools and solutions to, kind of get what they need for their students and from their students. Kind of that one-stop shop
Right.
kind of.
I think that's the thing that I enjoyed the most about it is that, I would put things into Google Classroom and then have to turn around and put them into PowerTeacher. But now just the ability to put them in one place and then they're all kind of housed in one place, I think will be really nice for not just teachers, but also students and parents.
Yeah.
They can go to the same place and find that information. So.
Yes.
Yeah, because so it all integrates. One piece that Phil brought up was 3rd through 12th, and I think that's important for Berkeley County teachers to know is that the implementation is targeted towards grades 3 through 12.
Right.
That doesn't mean that a kindergartner or first grade or second grade teacher couldn't use it, but it's really going to be required just for those grades 3 through 12.
That is one of the big questions we get. Do teachers have to use Schoology? And so that's something that is going to be, for 3 through 12 that they need to be using. Yeah.
Right. And in some cases, like for instance, at the elementary level, we get questions about special area teachers. What does this mean for me? So that's something that is really important to be in communication with your admin team and others for the expectations. But for the all regular self-contained classrooms, grades 3 through 12 would be the ones that would implement it.
Right. I think the other big question we get when we go out is, teachers want to know is this going to be around? Is it going to be gone in a couple of years? Because sometimes we see that in, in education, what do we hear about as far as how long, we think Schoology will be around for? So
Schoology's been around a long time.
Right.
I mean, it's been around for probably over 10 years at this point. So that's always good when you're looking at a product, how long has it been on the market? And because it's been around so long and it's been, they have teacher ambassadors, so they really do a lot to try to gather product development, information from teachers. So that's a good thing. And it's owned by the same company that owns PowerSchool. So that's another plus.
Yeah.
So the platform is it's got a lot of credibility for us. And
the state has committed to multi-years of funding, and the district is, really watching that closely and understands the transition and, the work behind that, and will support that moving forward.
Yeah.
So let's get into the actual course and implementation. So when teachers are looking to get into the course, what's the first thing they should do as far as getting registered and all that stuff? So
They should, the first thing they want to do is go over to Unified Talent, which is our new, kind of PD registering and tracking.
Yeah, taking the place of ERO.
Takes place ERO. So go in there, get registered for the course, and in there, the description, it gives information on how to, once registered in there, go to school, get to Schoology and ClassLink, and then how to use a join code to get into the course. And then once you're in the course, all the directions on how to flow through the course are right there for teachers to get started with. So
you talk about PD. How many hours do teachers get when they sign up or be able to complete the course?
Yeah, and that's really important, that unified talent piece, because that's what enables us to be able to give credit.
Okay.
So they get 30 renewal credit points.
Wow, nice.
And we get the question a lot of times, well, I don't need those points right now. I don't need them until the following year.
Right.
So what we're doing is embedded in the course, in the very last module that they'll complete, there'll be a questionnaire that asks, do you need the credit for this school year?
Okay.
Or would you like the credit to be awarded July 1st so that it will be in the next school year?
Okay.
So
So that'd be very nice, yeah, for teachers that maybe already got their hours and coming up on the next cycle. So
and it's nice, it's always nice to be in it's an open enrollment, asynchronous course. So, in looking at 30 credit hours is a lot of credit hours.
absolutely.
And the flexibility of how you get those is pretty nice. So I think it's a win in a lot of senses with that.
yeah. And it's nice that you can kind of get together with your PLC, and they might decide that, every week we're going to designate, 20 minutes that we're going to work on this together. And then that way we're all in there together and we're discussing, talking about it, sharing what, the assignments look like and other things. So
right.
it doesn't have to be individual.
So do teachers have to take the course though? Is it something that they have to do, or is it?
For success, they
Yeah.
really do.
Okay.
I think that, they're going to be biting the bullet if they don't. It's super important. It's laid out in small chunks to really help them get their feet wet as users, and to go ahead and be establishing what their course will look like in the following year. And so it's just essential. It really is. You're setting yourself up for failure if you don't complete the course.
And the goal by the end of the course too is that teachers, when they come back in the fall, will have the knowledge, will have had the time to build out some of the things that they do with their kids at the beginning of the year. So that way they're not, we say it all the time, the build the plane while we fly it kind of thing,
right.
which is not a great strategy for anything. So this is going to prevent that, give them a buffer to get some content in their system, get comfortable with it, so they're not feeling stressed out trying to build content for their students while it's still in kind of a learning mode. So we really want to address that.
Plus, they'll get the support from other teachers that are using it, from their PLCs, from the Innovation Squad, from who all the people that they have that can help them, support them through it and help guide them, so they're not, thrown into the kind of deep end at the beginning of next school year.
And we have support, virtual support sessions for teachers every Monday from 8 to 4. Once registered in the course, there's a folder that shows. There's a support folder and resources folder, and they can go in there, and there is a Google Meet link listed in there for teachers to jump on anytime between 8 and 4. They'll get any one of us and some of the others on our team to, get help with whatever they're working on in the course during, in this case, it's module 1, and then the ILCs, just getting out there and asking, hey, I'm trying to do this.
See them in the hallway, grab them, and say you need help with Schoology, or send emails, and then more than happy to help. So,
And it may seem like a lot when you hear 3 modules, but really when you get into it and see the meat, they're very, very small chunks. It's not something that's going to take them, 6 and 7 hours to complete it. To complete assignments. Some assignments are as short as 5 minutes, and some might take 15.
So let's get into the modules then, as if we brought them up. So when we're looking at, we have 3 different modules, right? So what can teachers expect in module 1 moving forward?
So, module 1, a lot of people might expect, we're going to get right into it. We're going to learn the buttons and how to, what this and that does in Schoology. And actually, it's not really that. The goal for module 1 is to get teachers to just think about, let's get organized. What do I teach? What do I use to teach? What do I use to assess? What are all the resources that I use? And then we provided an activity where they break that down on a spreadsheet. And at the end of module 1, they'll have kind of built out the first few weeks of the school year, or maybe it's the first few weeks of a unit or whatever it is. We just want people thinking about how they break down the learning for their students and what they use. So like I said, it's really about just what do you do as a teacher?
Right.
And we also really want to give teachers their first experience in Schoology will be as a student.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they can see kind of like what it is going to be like for their kids. It's always easier to create things for your students when you know what your students are going to be experiencing. So that's the goal of Module 1. And then in Module 2, we get into the, what are all the buttons and the settings and things like that. And we're going to use what we created in Module 1, where they said, I use this resource, this website, this tool, or we do this not even digital activity, like how to create all that stuff so that you can build your course out within the platform.
So you're looking at like time commitments for Module 1. I guess it really depends on how deep in depth they want to go. So if they just want to do one unit, it may not take very long, but if they want to build out a much larger frame, it's really up to the teacher and how much they want to build out, so they have a little bit of freedom. And that's kind of maybe why the window is a little bit longer. It's not going to take 2 months to complete. It just kind of gives you time to do it on your own pace when you've got time, because we understand just how overwhelmed teachers are and everybody. And so, but also give them an opportunity to go in as much in depth as they want.
And it's a flexible window for that open enrollment. I mean, we didn't expect everybody to jump right on it January 1st. When it opens, so we've every day we keep getting new people in. So I think we're up to 800 or something like that right now.
Yeah, a little over 800.
Yeah, so, and it keeps growing.
Yeah, I do think that thinking about the length of that window, you got to think about some people might be engaged in another course or doing other things. So there is that flexibility. But we really do need for people to think about, how am I going to structure this out? After they take that first module, they might have a better idea, and they might decide, hey, I want to jump on module 2 really early on, or, I can wait some. But the goal is for everyone to have completed the 3 modules by the end of May.
Okay. So Module 1, we're looking at their course. Module 2, they are actually taking what they've created in Module 1 and building out some kind of classes. And then Module 3, what can teachers do?
Module 3, we really start talking about the big picture, and that's where the learning management system kind of comes into the picture.
Yeah, and there's third-party integrations.
Yeah, this is where we're trying to really get teachers to see that, this system is the ultimate use of this is to make life easier, to make your day more efficient so that you can find more time in your day to do other things. Even though it seems like this is, a whole lot of work and it's not going to ever be less time, but it will when we look at the system and what it can do. So it's the big picture, what we can do beyond just like Google Classroom and things like that. So, and then that's it. That's a short module. That's only 1 month, it's May.
Okay.
So
excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that if you think about the structure 1, 2, and 3, the first one is really that planning stage.
Right.
And then the second module is really about building and doing and getting more into it. And the third one is really where you're mixing all those pieces together and learning more about those other things that you can integrate with Schoology. For example, like formative might be one that might come to mind to teachers, and how it can be integrated within Schoology.
And Edpuzzle, that'd be one that I used a lot in classroom that I know a lot of teachers use. That it'll be nice to have that right there in Schoology and grade it right there in Schoology, because that was one of the things with integrating Edpuzzle. Was difficult to look at Edpuzzle, find the grades, and then transfer them over. So.
And even still too, we have teachers that want to do, when we were using Master Connect, we had our learning objectives tied to assessments, and now in this system you can do your learning objectives tied to everything that you do in there to really inform you on the progression that students are having up against those learning outcomes you're looking for. That's the big picture thing. Like, how can we look at that from the system standpoint? How do we How do we share resources amongst teachers too? The big picture, how to get teachers collaborating with each other. So it isn't just third-party tools. It is really looking at what Schoology has embedded within it. Badging that's in there, no third-party tool needed to do that.
Yeah. You can build your own badges, right?
Build your own badges, do all that stuff right within the system.
And for the parent's perspective, I think it's really neat because the view looks so similar to, like you think about the teacher view and the student view and the parent view. In so many cases, when a teacher is working on something, they can only see what it looks like for them. But, that availability is there within Schoology.
I know some schools have already kind of integrated Schoology. What are you hearing from the teachers, and more importantly, what are you hearing from the students, maybe on the side of Schoology, the schools that have implemented it?
So I think the big reality is that the schools that implemented it this year didn't have the opportunity to have a course, an implementation program that spanned months of time.
They had a couple of days.
They had a couple of days, and they jumped right into it, and that build the plane while you fly it.
Yeah.
They were also learning how to fly it and build it. So, I think feedback, from teachers it was hard at first, really hard, and that's totally understandable. But I see a lot of teachers that struggled at first that are really leveraging it now, really getting it dialed in. We interviewed students at some of these schools, and feedback from students is the same. It was confusing at first. We'd use Google Classroom since we were little kids. So it was a big change. Feedback from the students has been, in most cases, the change has been really good. They really, really like the one-stop shop kind of. I do everything in Schoology. My teachers I can communicate with my teachers. All my work is in there. All my grades are in there. It's so they do like it, but.
You have a video of some students.
We do, yeah.
We're going to try to put that in the show notes and have a link to that, and also have a link to the course that they can get into. So in the show notes, so check out show notes if you're interested in what students say. And so,
and I think with teachers too, that it's, any type of change is difficult, but helping them to really understand the benefits of Schoology, I think will be a game changer. So they understand the why behind it and how Google Classroom wasn't able to do this, but now you are able to do this. And in some cases, Google Classroom required duplicate work from the teachers where Schoology will not.
Correct. And we're not losing any of our Google, assessments.
Oh, that's a big question too.
Yeah, we're not losing any of the Google, applications and things that we've already created. That's all going to be integrated right there very easily.
Yeah, Google
into Schoology. So
Google Classroom really was just a means of allowing teachers to more easily get their Google Drive content, apps, sheets, slides, all that stuff out to kids. So none of that goes away. It's all right embedded within Schoology. But I think the big thing with Schoology is it's a system. It's not a tool. Google Classroom is a tool. We could do a couple hour training on a tool and get you going with it. But a system is like a more of a long-term kind of like scaffolding up your abilities to leverage the tool and get to a point where after a year of using it, after 2 years of using it, you're really able to continue to pull more and more benefits out of it. So I think people need to just understand that to avoid maybe some frustration with it's a lot, but it will do a lot.
Yeah.
So
I think that's a perfect way to kind of wrap this up. That was really well said. Definitely check out the show notes. And then we also have our question of the week is what features are you most excited about Schoology? We'd like to hear from you guys and what features that you, so we can kind of pass those on. Check out the resources. And again, feel free to contact us if you got any questions about registering for the course, once you're into the course. And we'll do everything we can to help and support teachers in every way.
Yeah, and one more plug for the Mondays.
Okay.
Once you're in the course, remember that in the support folder, there is a link to a Google Meet that you can log on to anytime on Mondays from 8 to 4 for support.
Yeah. And if it's not, like, that's really good for like, I need an answer kind of like right now, more the emergent, urgent kind of stuff. But if it's more, I have a question, but, I can wait, that we have a discussion board that's also in that support folder where people can just post it out. We see the discussion, we reply to it, and teachers can get it that way. So really trying to offer support in all the forms we can.
All right. Well, I really appreciate you guys being here. All right.
Thanks.
Goodbye.